The trade deadline has passed. The Philadelphia Phillies had an off day yesterday, and they are back in action, back at home at Citizens Bank Park, starting tonight on Friday, starting a 3-game home series against a very good Detroit Tigers baseball team. It's a 6-game homestand, and they play a 3-game series against the Orioles right after that. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. The Phillies obviously made that huge bullpen addition on Wednesday, landing Minnesota Twins closer Jhoan Duran. Incredible trade by the Phillies. I love it. You should love it too. I'm excited for finally having a legitimate shutdown, flame-throwing closer, and that's exactly what they got in Duran there. They also made another trade with the Twins yesterday on Thursday, right before the deadline, a couple hours before. They traded for veteran outfielder Harrison Bader. He's a 31-year-old. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He's been mostly playing left field in 2025. However, he's played mostly center field throughout his major league career with a few different teams. He is an elite, above-average defender. He has a .986 fielding percentage in center field throughout his career, as I said, where he's played the majority of his defensive position throughout his major league career. .993 fielding percentage in left field, where he'll most likely be playing a decent amount with the Phillies. Remains to be seen. I'm sure he'll play some center field as well. And then a .988 career fielding percentage in right field. That's where he's played the least amount of time throughout his major league career. Mostly, as I said, center field, a good amount of left field this year in 2025, and then just some right field experience as well. But a very good fielder. He still is, even as he's getting older. He has just 1 error so far between all 3 outfield positions here in 2025. He also won a Gold Glove back in 2021 when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. So as I said, the Phillies are getting a very good defensive outfielder, and he may just be their best defensive outfielder all of a sudden. Johan Rojas, obviously a very good defensive player as well, but Harrison Bader has been doing it for a pretty long time. Obviously a Gold Glove there before in his career as well, playing very good defense again this year in 2025. He comes in and is arguably their best defensive outfielder now with the Phillies. He's also known for some pop in his bat, some hitting ability. So the Phillies, they were looking for another right-handed bat, especially in the outfield with Max Kepler, if he still stays on the team, being a left-hander, Brandon Marsh being a left-hander. So they were trying to add a right-handed bat, and that's exactly what they got here in Harrison Bader. He has had double-digit home runs 5 times throughout his 9-year career, including right now in 2025. He had a career-high 16 home runs back in 2021 with the Cardinals. Very good year overall. That year, as I said, he was a Gold Glover as well on the defensive side that year in 2021. He also has some speed on the bases. He had a career-high 20 stolen bases back in 2023 between the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds. He also had 17 stolen bases both in 2022 and 2024. So there is some speed there to go along with his defense, to go along with his offense. And he's having arguably a top 2 season offensively of his major league career right now in 2025 with the Twins. And now hopefully that continues here with the Philadelphia Phillies. He's batting .258 with a .339 on base percentage, .439 slugging, .778 OPS. He has 13 doubles, 12 home runs, and 38 RBIs, as well as 10 stolen bases here in 96 games with the Twins in 2025. He's hot as of late, not necessarily scorching hot, but he's been hitting pretty well as of late. He had a .290 batting average with 5 home runs in the month of July. Today's August 1st, so July's over. .290 with 5 home runs, and in his last 2 games with the Twins before he got traded to the Phillies, he was 3 for his last 7 at the plate. So maybe that is a sign of good things to come here. Harrison Bader heating up the plate right at the perfect time for a playoff push after this trade with the Phillies. Now, speaking of the Harrison Bader trade, speaking of trades with the Twins overall here at the deadline, did the Phillies do enough at the deadline to compete for a World Series championship? They're obviously one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. Very talented roster, very good starting pitching. Hopefully now a majorly improved bullpen, because that has been their major weakness in 2025, and hopefully a little bit of some pop in the lineup there with Harrison Bader, and just better defense out there and outfield as well. My opinion, The Joanne Duran trade is an A-plus move by the Phillies. I did just mention it a few minutes ago. I mentioned it in the video yesterday talking about the trade. I mentioned it when I talked about it as a possibility like a month or so ago in a video as well. So you can check all those out here on Phillies Daily on the channel. But just an A-plus move by the Phillies. They needed a legitimate closer. They got it with Duran. He is still just 27 years old. He's one of the top closers in Major League Baseball. He's a hard thrower, can reach 100 miles an hour with his fastball, has a nasty split finger, knuckle curve. Just great stuff out of him. Still a young guy in his prime. He has 2 more years of club control, and they didn't have to give up their top prospects in Andrew Painter, Aiden Miller, or Justin Crawford. I was mentioning how I was a little upset that Eduardo Tate, the catcher that they did give to the Twins, I was a little upset about him leaving, but really at the end of the day, he's a 19-year-old kid. You never know. He's still playing the low levels of the minor leagues. You never know how a prospect's going to develop, especially at that young age, if he's ever even going to reach the major leagues. And if he does, at 19 years old, still playing the low level, still figuring things out, still developing his game overall, he might not even reach the major leagues for 5 or more years. So this is a trade that the Phillies had to make. They're getting one of the top closers. It helps a huge weakness for the team. They are a championship win now team. So getting a guy like that just majorly improves your odds, and you can live with parting with a guy like Eduardo Tate. I was just more so upset because they don't really have much in the farm system or in the organization behind JT Realmuto, especially if they don't re-sign him after this season. He's in his contract year. But nonetheless, this is a championship caliber team and a championship move acquiring that closer, and he is going to be great. And as well, I didn't really mind giving up Mick Abel. He had no role here with the Phillies moving forward. Their starting rotation, and Andrew Painter obviously set to join the rotation at some point. And Mick Abel has had some struggles both in the minor leagues and in his little short stint with the Phillies in the major leagues. So I really don't care about getting rid of Mick Abel. Amazing trade by the Phillies. I love it. A-plus move. And that is just only going to help them moving forward here into the playoff push and for the next couple years here as well. Bader, not a flashy move, but definitely an upgrade. As I said, he may be their best defensive outfielder already here on the Phillies, and he is probably their second best offensive option in the outfield behind Nick Castellanos. He's better than Max Kepler at the plate, better than Brandon Marsh, better than Johan Rojas, better than Weston Wilson. Great fielder, some pop in his bat. He's got speed. They only had to give away 2 lower-level prospects, a 21-year-old outfielder and a 16-year-old right-handed pitcher. So really don't have to give up much to get Harrison Bader. He has a mutual option for next year if both sides decide to pick that up. If not, really just a rental. But nonetheless, a guy that can come in here, upgrade your outfield both offensively and defensively, and try to help you win a World Series championship right now in 2025. Now, another move the Phillies made, very under the radar, very low-risk move. They also traded for Matt Manning. He's a right-handed pitcher, massive guy, 6'6", 27-year-old. He was a 2016 9th overall pick in the first round. So the talent is there, the potential is there. Hasn't really had quite the success throughout his minor league or professional baseball major league career to this point, being the 9th overall pick back in 2016 by the Tigers. He's made 50 career starts for the Tigers between 2021 and 2024. He's 11-15 with a 4.43 ERA in those 50 starts at the major league level. He has a 6.04 ERA in 31 appearances, including 4 starts in AAA in 2025. So maybe a change of scenery is needed for a guy like that, a former top prospect, a former first-round pick, a former top 10 pick. Still 27 years old, so there still could be some development there, and it could be a notable move for the Phillies moving forward, both in AAA, if that's where he goes, or if he can help out in the bullpen here in 2025 or further down the road. They traded away Joseph Quinones. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He's just an 18-year-old outfielder, a lower-level prospect as well, so a low-risk move that can't hurt. I liked what the Phillies did here at the deadline. A lot of people wanted more of an upgrade than what they got in Harrison Bader, but they were never going to make a major move like that for an outfielder, in my opinion, unless something was just served up to them on a golden platter, which it wasn't. Great trade deadline by Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies. They definitely got better, and they definitely improved their odds of trying to win a World Series championship here in 2025. Now, as I said, or not as I said, or I did, I guess I said earlier, they started a 3-game series against a good Detroit Tiger team tonight on Friday. and it's going to be a huge test for the Phillies. The Tigers are first in the American League Central. They're tied for the most wins in Major League Baseball with 64 entering today. They've won their last 4 games, so they're hot right now. However, the Phillies did take care of their last 2 big tests. They took 2 of 3 against the Boston Red Sox, and then right after that in the next series took 2 of 3 against the New York Yankees as well. So those were pretty 2 big tests for them as well. They got the job done there. They're coming off a series loss against a bad White Sox team, however, but they did have an off day yesterday. They do have some new faces coming in, so maybe that's enough to get this series going on the right foot against the Tigers. Ranger Suarez having a great year, starts tonight for the Phillies against the Tigers to kick off this series, and then an incredible pitching matchup tomorrow on Saturday between Zach Wheeler with the Phillies and Tarek Skubal with the Tigers. Going to be a great pitcher's duel. Looking forward to that one. Hopefully Zach Wheeler gets the best of Skubal and the Phillies get a win there. And then Christopher Sanchez takes the mound on Sunday Night Baseball in front of a national audience. He's having an incredible year as well. So a very good pitching lineup here for the Phillies against a very good Tigers team. Hopefully they can at least win the series. We'll see what happens. It all starts tonight, though, getting it started on the right foot, and that just carries in the momentum throughout the rest of the weekend, throughout the rest of the series. And then they play a Baltimore Orioles team right after that, who as well is not a very good team in 2025. So if they win this series against the Tigers, then they ride momentum into that Orioles series and then get things going and right back on track after a tough series loss against the Chicago White Sox. Now it is time to get locked in if you're the Philadelphia Phillies. If you're really any team in contention in Major League Baseball, it's now August. The Phillies have 54 more games in 2025 until the postseason begins. They enter today a half game behind the New York Mets in the National League East. So if the playoff push didn't already start, it definitely starts now with the calendar now in August with the trade deadline passed. Teams improved, teams got better, and they're trying to make their playoff push for a championship. The big boys on the Phillies need to lock in. They have to come through here in these last 54 games to not only try to win the division, get a better seed in the playoffs, but really just get hot into the playoffs because, as we know, as last year, the Phillies got cold in that playoff series in the National League Division Series against the Mets. The offense went cold. The bullpen struggled, and they were bounced in 4 games, sent home early after winning the National League East. Bryce Harper's been hot recently. JT Realmuto's been hot. So hopefully they can continue that going. Schwarber's been smashing baseballs, as we all know, just launching Schwarber bombs all year long. Nick Castellanos has had his good times. Trey Turner as well. Alec Bohm when he's healthy. So hopefully all these guys can stay hot or get hot if they aren't already for this last playoff push, these last 2 months of the regular season. The starting rotation needs to keep dominating. They've been one of the best in baseball, if not the best in 2025. And we'll see that this weekend with these top 3 starters going for the Phillies. The new look bullpen needs to prove that they're trustworthy with Duran now. David Robertson, you got to remember, the Phillies also signed. He'll be joining the Phillies bullpen. Matt Strahmer, Ryan Kirkring, Tyler Banks, all these top guys need to prove themselves trustworthy. And if they can flip the script from earlier in the season from their struggles, this team has a sky-high potential entering the playoffs and can have their best shot at winning a World Series in the past couple of seasons here. Duran's the closer, as I mentioned. Strom, Kirkring, setup guys. David Robinson will join. Tanner Banks has been doing good really all season long. They'll get Jose Alvarado back at some point. However, he's not eligible for the playoffs. But nonetheless, the Phillies need to lock in and push their foot forward for this championship push. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Huge series starting tonight. Hopefully the Phillies get it started with a huge win with Ranger Suarez on the mound. Again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Phils.